The US military might want to start using deepfakes. Adobe just dropped a ton of new AI updates. Speaking of drops, minutes ago, Microsoft just announced when it plans to drop its autonomous AI agents. And then, speaking of Microsoft, are Microsoft and OpenAI fighting? Y'all, it's been a wild week in the world of AI news. Literally every single big tech company is out there making pretty big headlines, and we're going to cover them all today in about, I don't know, 20 or 30 short minutes. All right, what's going on, y'all? My name is Jordan Wilson, and welcome to Everyday AI. This is your daily live stream podcast and free daily newsletter, helping everyday people not just keep up with what's going on in the world of AI, but how we can all use that information and get ahead to grow our companies and to grow our careers. So that might sound like you, right? Like, oh, I want to keep up with AI. I want to get ahead. I want to be the smartest person in AI in my company. Well, you are in the right place. So if you have not already, please go to youreverydayai.com, sign up for the free daily newsletter. You know, on Mondays, we usually do this show, the AI news that matters, keep catching you up on everything in the world of AI. Maybe you just listen Mondays, but we always have a great lineup of other experts coming in from all aspects of business to teach you about AI. So make sure you tune in every day if you can. All right. So I'm excited to get today's show going. Real quick, I just got to shout out everyone joining us live. I'm in a new little situation here, not recording in my normal Chicago studio, so to speak. So thank you for Michael, Rolando, Brian, Kurt, Tara, Joe, everyone else, Chris, for joining us live. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into the AI news that matters, because like I said, there is a ton this week. All right, let's start with Meta, shall we? So Meta has just released a new AI model, including a self-taught evaluator to reduce human involvement. Yay. Less humans, more AI. So Meta has just announced the release of several new AI models from its research division, highlighting a significant shift toward less human intervention in the AI development process. So the newly introduced self-taught evaluator model is designed to assess AI responses with minimal human input, potentially leading to more autonomous AI agents in the future. So this model uses a chain of thought technique similar to that used in OpenAI's recent O1 models, and it breaks down complex problems into manageable steps, enhancing accuracy in challenging subjects like science, coding, and math. So Meta's researchers train the evaluator model entirely on AI generated data. Yeah. So essentially, let me put this in human talk. So this new AI model from Meta is made to fact check other AI models, and it was made with synthetic data or data created from AI. Yeah. If that's not Meta from Meta, I don't know what is. So researchers involved in the project expressed hope that as AI systems become increasingly more advanced, that they will surpass human capabilities in self-evaluation and correction. Other companies such as Google and Anthropic are also exploring similar concepts, but typically do not release their models for public use, setting Meta apart in this regard. So yes, this is an open source model that we just saw from Meta. So y'all, this is pretty strange, right? Very cool, right? If you're an AI dork like myself, maybe you are. But the fact that this new model self-evaluates other AI models and it's trained on synthetic data made by AI, right? It's hard to almost wrap my head around this early in the morning. All right, wrap your head around this. This is hot off the presses. So Microsoft has just announced a launch date for customizable AI agents. So this is going to be coming in the public preview next month. So, Microsoft has just announced that it will allow businesses to create their own autonomous AI agents starting next month, ramping up competition against Salesforce recently introduced AI tools called Dreamforce. Or sorry, that was announced at Dreamforce. It's called Agent Force. So yeah, Salesforce had this pretty big pivot last month at their Dreamforce conference when they said, "Hey, we're kind of an AI agents company now," and they introduced Agent Force. So Microsoft just now revealed its some more of its plans to transition its autonomous agents in Copilot Studio from the private preview it is currently in, only available to a very select few number of people, to a public preview next month. So starting in October, allowing more organizations to build their own AI agents. So these AI agents, well, they can do kind of anything, right? They're designed to function as virtual workers capable of performing various tasks independently, representing a shift from traditional chat interfaces to this more integrated solution. So just a couple of minutes ago, actually, at the recent AI tour event in London, Microsoft showcased an example of these new autonomous AI agents with the consulting firm McKinsey. So, illustrating how an AI agent can analyze emails, retrieve relevant information, and summarize responses, all just using natural language. Yeah, you don't got to be able to, spit a bunch of structured inputs or code to these agents. You just talk to it like, "Hey, agent, go do this work." So Jared Spataro, Microsoft's corporate vice president, highlighted the potential business value of these agents, noting that in this example, McKinsey reported a reduction in lead time by as much as 90% with their AI agent. Yeah, everyone's always talking like, "Oh, is there a return on investment? Like, what's the actual time saved?" Well, I don't know. Maybe McKinsey and Microsoft are two names that you've heard of before. 90% time savings. Let that one sink in as I take a sip of water. So, Microsoft plans to induce 10 new autonomous agents in its Dynamics 365 suite, which includes applications for sales, services, finance, and supply chain management. So, like I talked about, this isn't just Microsoft and Salesforce, right? This is kind of everyone. We've heard reports that OpenAI, Google, DeepMind, just about everyone in the AI space is starting to heavily invest in AI agents. So, Microsoft actually here is probably going to beat Salesforce to the first major company releasing agents to the public. So, yeah, wild times, y'all. I'm not sure if you all have seen the examples, but we'll make sure to share this in our newsletter today. So, yeah, if you haven't already, make sure to go check that out. Another thing to check out, well, if you are a Windows user, OpenAI has just launched ChatGPT, its ChatGPT Windows app for select users. So when OpenAI has just begun previewing a dedicated Windows app for its ChatGPT platform, signaling a significant shift in making AI more accessible to its users. So currently, this early version of the app is only available to paid users. So if you have a ChatGPT Plus, Teams, Enterprise, or EDU account, with plans for a more comprehensive experience later this year. So you might be wondering, okay, well, why do I need a ChatGPT app inside of Windows? Well, there's a lot of advantages and benefits. One is it's just a better experience, right, than having 1,000 tabs open. If you really want to get the most out of ChatGPT, I love the Mac app. I'm on the Mac app right now. So, originally we heard back when they announced this that it was only going to be coming to Mac. So that's also an interesting thing to note here, that they did end up coming out with this Windows desktop version. So yeah, if you haven't already checked it out, so it's been out. The desktop version for Mac has been out since June. So, Windows users kind of got the short end of the stick here, having to wait an additional, 4 or 5 months for the Windows version. But in our newsletter today, I'm sharing a video that I already created that kind of shows you the benefits of using the app versus using the browser. All right, so make sure to check that out if you are interested in the ChatGPT app for Windows. Hey, live stream audience, do you guys prefer? Curious here. Also, I'm on the road, so normally I've usually had 1 or 2 coffees by now, and it just hasn't hit me yet. The water's just not hitting as hard as the coffee does. But hey, live stream audience, do you listen, or sorry, do you watch or use ChatGPT in the desktop app, or do you use it in the browser? I'm always curious how other people use ChatGPT. All right. Apple is far behind. So, recent insights from Bloomberg reveal that some Apple employees believe the company is approximately 2 years behind in artificial intelligence development, highlighting the competitive pressure in the tech industry. So, at WWDC 24, which happened back in June, that's when Apple first officially announced Apple Intelligence. So, this is Apple's new their attempt to rebrand AI, right? Don't know what that's all about. But that was kind of its first official foray into the generative AI and large language model landscape, at least bringing it to all of Apple's devices. But a recent report from Bloomberg looked at internal employees saying that, yeah, we're up to 2 years behind. And I've been saying this since the get-go. So there was a lot of reports last summer that said Apple was spending millions, with an S, millions of dollars a day on training models internally. Yet when they launched, really one of the highlights was of Apple Intelligence was they decided to partner with OpenAI and use its ChatGPT model for more advanced kind of questions from users. So if you do ask a simple question, there's a good chance that the Apple Intelligence will use its own Apple made kind of edge or small language model that lives on your device. However, it seems like the majority of more complex queries are actually just going to get passed off to ChatGPT. So yeah, Apple has been facing a ton of scrutiny over the last couple of months, especially as Apple Intelligence just started rolling out in beta to a lot of users. I did a couple reviews both here on the show, and we reviewed a couple more features in depth on our YouTube channel. I was not impressed, right? So not only was I think that whole rebranding of Apple or artificial intelligence and calling it Apple Intelligence kind of cheesy, if I'm being honest, but the features were not that good, right? These are all features that we've had for 1 year, 2 years already. So it's really to say that Apple is 2 years behind. A lot of times you see these reports and, if it's unnamed sources or anonymous sources, you're like, I don't know if that's true. This one, I 100% believe this report from Bloomberg talking about that even Apple's own employees are saying they are multiple years behind the other big tech companies. But the Bloomberg article did mention that Apple does have a little bit of a history of starting slow and catching up. As an example, Apple Maps, when it first came out, was very bad, right? And now it's pretty good, right? There's actually features inside of Apple Maps that I would say are better than Google Maps. So that's just one example that Bloomberg noted in its report in terms of Apple maybe starting very slow, but eventually catching up. Also, Apple right now plans by 2026, yeah, not 2025, but by 2026 to have fully rolled out its Apple Intelligence, including the revamped Siri that is supposed to have that more natural language processing, similar to ChatGPT's advanced voice mode. So yeah, by 2026. Oof. I do not want to be working at Apple right now. Yeah, they are so far behind. All right. Perplexity More AI news. Y'all, I told you this week was a who's who. Every single name has been making a splash this week. So Perplexity has unveiled some new features to enhance research capabilities for users. So Perplexity has just announced the launch of two new features: internal knowledge search, and it's updated to Spaces, which aims to provide users with greater flexibility in sourcing information. So the new internal knowledge search feature allows users to search both the web and their team's files, enabling multi-step reasoning and code execution for more comprehensive responses. Previously, users could only upload personal files, but this new tool expands the AI's capabilities to include internet searches, providing a more integrated approach to search. The Spaces feature serves as an AI-powered research and collaboration hub, allowing users to customize Perplexity's AI assistant to meet specific project needs and data requirements. So let me simplify what's happening here. Largely, I think people have viewed Perplexity as an answers engine, right? An AI-powered answers engine, a competitor to traditional Google search, which I think it is. I will say this: Perplexity, in my experience, has a lot more hallucinations than people talk about, right? So as great as Perplexity is, I think it's only right now very useful for certain business use cases. I still think, when we always talk about human in the loop, I think you actually have to be very careful, especially if you are relying on Perplexity to cite specific facts or sources. I think Perplexity does an amazing job at being able to grab general ideas and insights from many articles online at once. So I think it's great for replacing Google search, but I don't think right now it's great at producing reliable citations, sources, and facts like you would hope for out of a large language model. So something that people overlook about Perplexity is, well, it actually taps into other large language models. Although Perplexity does have its kind of in-house sonar, which is just a fine-tuned version of Meta's models. For the most part, people use Claude 3.5 Sonnet or OpenAI's GPT-4o as the actual engine that powers it. Right. So what I think is happening here with Perplexity, they are trying to compete more directly with those companies, right? With OpenAI, with Anthropic Claude, with Google Gemini, with these new features, these new internal knowledge search and the Spaces feature. But similarly to how you can upload your files in GPTs inside of ChatGPT and inside of Gems in Google, I won't even put projects from Claude in this category because with Claude projects, you can't query the internet. So I think what they're trying to do here is they're trying to give business users specifically an option to bring in their own knowledge base, essentially, upload files, but then at the same time, get the good stuff out of Perplexity, which is the ability to really browse the web very quickly and to bring you insights. So yeah, let me know if you guys want to see, maybe should we do an updated deep dive on Perplexity with all these new features? Let me know in the comments if you want to see that. Speaking of things you want to see, this one's weird. All right. So, according to reports, the U.S. military is seeking advanced deepfake technology. Yeah, they're looking for this. They want to use it. So, the United States Special Operations Command is reportedly actively pursuing the development of deepfake technology to create convincing online personas that are indistinguishable from real humans. So the Department of Defense's Joint Special Operations Command has released a procurement document outlining a desire for technologies that can generate realistic online profiles for social media and other platforms. So the Intercept actually had a great article breaking all of this down that we'll link to in our newsletter. But according to the report, The goal is to create user profiles that appear human, complete with multiple expressions and high quality identification photos that do not exist in reality. So the document that was released specifies the need for not just static images, but also video and audio elements, including selfie videos set against believable backgrounds to evade detection by social media algorithms. Okay. The push for deepfake technology reflects a broader tension within the US government, where some agencies aim to maintain public trust, while others are seemingly wanting to invest in better understanding and potentially using some of this deepfake technology. The implications of this are obviously huge, as the implications of these technologies extend beyond military operations, raising questions about the future of information integrity and trust in digital communications for the general public. So, yeah, this is one we're going to be keeping a close eye on. And here's the here's the reality. I read a lot of AI news, right? Every single day, we start the podcast with two or three of the biggest AI news stories, and then we dive into the topic for the day. And very rarely do I read a story and say, "Wait, what?" This is one of those. This report from the Intercept talking about how the Pentagon actively wants to use AI to create deepfake users online. So yeah, there's not a lot of information out yet about the intent, as in why, right? You hope that they want to use this technology so they can better understand how our kind of adversaries across the world are using it, right? So I get that piece of it, right? Because other countries are trying to use this technology to maybe hurt or harm the United States. So, from that aspect, I understand it. You really have to be able to use and understand the technology to prevent others from using it against you. But man, I wish there would have been that kind of reassurance, right? That is my assumption. So, I wish in this report and in this paper that was kind of released, I wish that that would have come to light a little more explicitly. A little concerning, uh, right? I don't know. Does uh, anyone else see that story and just like, ugh, just me? Not a big fan. All right. Something I am a big fan of, new AI models all the time. So, Nvidia just launched a new AI model that outperforms some of the bigger companies. So, Nvidia, yes, the chip maker, has released a new model based on Llama's 3.1 from Meta. So, Nvidia has unveiled a new AI model that surpasses offerings on some benchmarks from industry leaders like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google, marking a significant develop in the AI sector. So, this release is pretty noteworthy because obviously Nvidia is the leader in GPUs, which all of these companies need to train their models. Yet Nvidia just fine-tuned Meta's Llama model, and it is already outperforming some models from OpenAI, Claude, and Gemini on certain benchmarks. So the new model is named Llama 3.1 Nemotron 70B Instruct. Great name. That just rolls off the tongue really early on a Monday morning. All right. And it's been introduced on Hugging Face. If you just want to go use it, we'll have that link in our newsletter today as well. So, like I said, the fine tuned model is based off of Llama's 3.1 70B model, which is actually wild. Yes, these models take time, but Meta's Llama 3.1 70B is not only the middle model of the 3.1 series, there is also the 405B. So that is, 70B is trained on 70 billion parameters. 405B trained on 405 billion parameters. So this new model, which got some benchmarks higher than OpenAI's GPT-4o and Anthropic's 3.5 Sonnet, was on number one, the medium-sized model from Meta, but their old model, right? 3.1. So a couple of weeks ago, Meta just released their new model, Llama 3.1. 2. So very interesting. So let's talk about the benchmarks, right? Because everyone's talking about this. And I think there's a lot of incomplete information. I think people were kind of losing their noodles. This went viral online last month for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's Nvidia just fine tuning a open source or open weights model from Meta. But, Nvidia's in hardware. So why are they getting into software in AI models? So that's number one. But it was just one specific benchmark under one specific kind of set of criteria. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to this. Obviously, I know a lot of people are talking like, oh, OpenAI and Anthropic, their new models, they're not even good because look at this new Nvidia fine tune. It's way better. No, it's not. Just one. So the one very specific benchmark was the Arena Hard Auto on GitHub, and that was with no control style. That's like some super technical dorky stuff. But essentially think of if you do 100 tests and all these tests have different conditions, it just outperformed on one with an 85.0 score, which was higher than OpenAI's GPT-4o and Anthropic's 3.5 Sonnet. So here's the thing, y'all. I wouldn't pay too much attention to this. Although it is very cool. And yes, you can go use it. And it is very impressive for a 70 billion parameter open source model that it can perform at a pretty high level, right, of these closed source, proprietary, state-of-the-art models. But for general use cases, that's not where it's at. Even NVIDIA emphasized the importance, or NVIDIA cautioned that the model may not yet be suitable for specialized domains such as legal, mathematical reason, etc. So, even NVIDIA said, hey, this essentially was fine-tuned and we were able to get great benchmarks in certain aspects, but probably not a model that you want to start using every single day. A model I'm using every single day, literally NotebookLM. So we covered this last week, middle of the week, but NotebookLM has announced some new features. So they've announced a new business edition and also customizable AI audio features. So Google's NotebookLM, which is based on its Gemini 1.5 model, announced some pretty significant changes to updating or customizing the AI audio overview. So that's, these AI podcasts that have gone viral over the last couple of months. That's from NotebookLM. But before, you kind of just, would upload all of your source documents and click generate an AI podcast. And then the deep dive, it's essentially 2 AI hosts, and they would come and have a very real and very captivating conversation based on all the source material that you upload. But it was just kind of a crapshoot, right? Because you couldn't really control what the host talked about. It was really up to their own I'd say agency, right? That's kind of weird to say. But now you can customize it. So Google kind of unofficially called this, pass a note to the audio presenters, but essentially it gives you about 150 words of custom instructions that you can upload beforehand. So we did a very fun show on this last week. We did it live. So the example that we did is we uploaded a bunch of documents, right? So if you haven't heard of NotebookLM, it's fantastic. I personally love it. Aside from ChatGPT, it is the AI tool that I use most. But essentially, you can upload all kinds of different source documents in different ways. So we uploaded some, YouTube videos, websites, I think PDFs on how to play cribbage. And then we uploaded some information on project management, right? So previously, if you created an AI overview of that, you wouldn't get anything that worked great. Essentially, they would say, okay, well, I think that this maybe project management piece was a mistake. So in our example, we put in some customized instructions and we said, hey, we're trying to teach project managers how to play cribbage, right? So we were able to kind of, quote unquote, pass a note. And the audio was actually fantastic. We shared the downloadable audio in our newsletter, and I think it actually turned out very, very well. So that was one new feature. The other new update from NotebookLM is they are launching a business edition pilot program. So I signed up, haven't gotten access to it yet, but we do assume in the future Google will be charging for NotebookLM. Right now, it is free, which is wild because it operates as a grounded model. So it only works with your data. So it really reduces the amount of hallucinations and increases the amount of trust. So it is a grounded model. It is retrieval augmented generation, right? In a very simple form, and it's available for free. So Google kind of, I think it's great that Google in NotebookLM is coming out with this business edition feature. But what that means is probably NotebookLM is not going to be free forever, which is probably for the best because they have millions of users, and I assume it is extremely expensive. So I think more than anything, this is par for the course, but bringing some more advanced features to Teams. So once we get more updates on the business edition, we'll probably be letting you know. All right, two more stories. Y'all, I told you this week we got a ton. So Adobe Max. So Adobe unveiled a ton of new AI tools at their Adobe Max conference. So their recent announcements at the Max conference had the potential, I think, to really transform the use of AI in creative spaces, especially with some video and photo editing capabilities. So I'd say probably the biggest announcement out of all of this was Adobe officially introduced the Firefly video model. So yeah, like most things in AI, it's not publicly available yet. So it's a sign up page, right? Blog post and a wait list. However, the Firefly video model is a new generative AI tool that allows users to create videos from text or images, now available in, like I said, limited beta, rolling out very slowly within both the Premiere Pro app from Adobe and their Creative Cloud, as well as the Firefly web app. So yes, Adobe does have a dedicated Firefly web app for its AI generated photos and now its AI generated videos. So you might be thinking like, okay, well, why? And is this kind of late? Well, sure, right? We have a lot of text to video or photo to video products, as an example, from Runway, from Luma Dream Machine, from Kling, right? There's a handful of just high quality AI, text to video, photo to video products. But one thing that Adobe is really pushing here is that it uses data that it says it has access to, where a lot of these other AI video models, they don't really say how their model was trained, right? All these other big companies, they're kind of coy, right, on what goes into their models, right? The assumption is most of these models just have scraped the internet and have scraped sites like YouTube, which is using copyrighted works, right? So Adobe, at least saying that it does not scrape the internet for its training data, and it only uses, to create the Firefly models, it only uses visuals that it has essentially rights to use. So pretty interesting there. Also on the photo side, Adobe did announce its new Firefly 3 image generator. Pretty good. I'd say it's better than Dolly, but still very far behind industry leaders such as Midjourney, probably Stable Diffusion as well, and maybe even the Imagine model from Google that they just rolled out 2 weeks ago inside Google Gemini. So I do think instantly Adobe's AI photo generator, it's at least on par, maybe not tier 1A, but maybe tier 1B. But the big thing here is, when are people going to get access to the video generator? The quality looks really good, and they beat OpenAI Sora to the punch, right? That's another huge thing. It's been about 8 months since OpenAI previewed its text to video model Sora, but still don't have it, right? So at least Adobe here beating them to the punch. The other big kind of announcement that I think, even though it's only 2 seconds, I think the new generative extend feature inside of Adobe's video editing programs is huge. So this is a new feature that essentially, and we showed this live last week as well on the show, but think if you're a video editor, and maybe you don't know, but a lot of times there's gaps. There's these small gaps in video. And what that means sometimes is, editors will sometimes just reuse a lot of shots, or they'll use a lot of slow motion or some B-roll that's not very good, right? So this new generative extend, you need to have at least 3 seconds of video, right? So anywhere from 3 to however many seconds, but minimum 3 seconds. And then you can extend it. And you can add 2 seconds on the back end, which doesn't seem like a lot. I get that. And you're like, all right, Jordan, why are you talking about 2 seconds of AI video? Well, it works with your video, where so many of these other AI video generators work with text and they work with photo. So Adobe bringing this generative extend into professional workflows, right? So many of the TV shows that we all watch, so many of the movies that we all watch, documentaries, etc., they're edited inside of Adobe. So I do honestly think this is going to be the first time that the majority of people in the world, right? Yeah, we all like, if you're listening to the show, you live in an AI bubble with me, right? We've all seen all these other AI video generators, but no one else has. I do think this little 2-second generative extend is going to be the feature that really brings AI video to the masses. All right. Our last piece of AI news, and we saved the juiciest for last. So, according to reports, Microsoft and OpenAI are navigating some complex equity negotiations amidst OpenAI's soaring valuation. So, Microsoft's substantial investments in OpenAI are now totaling more than $14 billion since 2019. And they're now at the center of some intricate negotiations regarding equity as OpenAI has transitioned from a nonprofit to a for-profit corporation. So, according to reports from the Wall Street Journal, Microsoft and OpenAI have engaged some outside help to help them talk through some of these tricky negotiations. So, they've engaged Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, respectively, to assist them in determining Microsoft's ownership stake in the new kind of for-profit structure and potentially renegotiating terms of their original agreement. So, at least reportedly, the original agreement was Microsoft invested at that time more than it was reported between $10 billion to $13 billion for a reported, I keep saying reported because it was never made public, but a 49% equity stake in OpenAI. But now OpenAI's valuation has skyrocketed to $157 billion following a recent funding round with notable investors like Nvidia, SoftBank, and just about everyone. So Microsoft's earlier investment of $10 billion in January of 2023 valued OpenAI at $86 billion. So yeah, huge. That's about almost doubling valuation in about 18 months. So despite the high valuation, OpenAI projects a $5 billion loss this year, with revenue expected to reach 3.7 billion, but its expenditures and what it's spending are outpacing that. So that's why we have to look at this restructuring and what's going on here. So the restructuring of OpenAI right now from a not-for-profit to a for-profit public company aims to attract more investors while maintaining a commit to its original societal goals. So OpenAI will still have a nonprofit that will continue to exist and retain a minority stake in the for-profit entity. So yes, the nonprofit charity is going to have an equity stake in the for-profit, the new for-profit kind of parent company. So CEO Sam Altman is expected to receive a larger equity stake in the new company, addressing previous concerns about his limited investment exposure. So, according to all of these reports, there's another significant concern: is a clause in the contract that may restrict Microsoft's access to OpenAI's technology if OpenAI later develops essentially artificial general intelligence, or AGI, right? So AGI is essentially when AI is smarter than every single human in every single task. right? So this clause, and we actually did an entire like hour-long show investigating this about 3 or 4 months ago. So this one clause is designed to prevent potential misuse of the technology by Microsoft, according to reports, raising questions about how AGI is actually defined and who actually determines its arrival, right? Because yes, the terms of this agreement change drastically once essentially AGI has quote unquote been achieved. But right now, it is OpenAI's board that has the authority to decide when AGI is achieved. But its CEO, Sam Altman, acknowledges that this assessment will be subjective and potentially ambiguous. So Altman previously noted that as progress continues, determining the timeline for AGI becomes increasingly complex, suggesting it might be a gradual transition rather than a clear milestone. So yeah, this is going to continue, right? And I think we've really overlooked how monumental this Microsoft and OpenAI partnership has been for both companies, right? So from a financial standpoint, makes a lot of sense for OpenAI, right? One of their biggest investors. Also, when we had the whole, Sam Altman firing fiasco back in November, and outsiders were saying like, "Oh, is OpenAI on the cusp of collapse?" I was like, "No," but it was actually Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella that reportedly helped lead talks that brought Sam Altman back into the fold and reinstated him as CEO. So yeah, there's a lot of these things under the hood that a lot of people aren't looking at. Another one is so much of what Microsoft is leaning into as an enterprise is its Copilot, right? Almost everything that Microsoft talks about now is based on Copilot, which I think rightfully so. That's the AI is the future of work, right? But Copilot and essentially Microsoft's future systems, at least right now, are based on OpenAI's GPT technology, right? GPT-4 or GPT-4o. So obviously, Microsoft has made some substantial investments over the last couple of quarters to really bolster its own in-house large language model and small language model development to have less of a reliance on OpenAI and its GPT technology. So yes, these reports that just came out from the Wall Street Journal, which we will be linking to in the newsletter, pretty significant. Yes, this is standard, right? Anytime, there's billions and billions of dollars invested and, corporations, switch their operating structure. And, so this is normal, but it is definitely worth paying attention to, as we'll definitely be paying attention to on this show, as this is kind of this power partnership. Not saying anything shaky, right? Not saying they're on shaky grounds, but I mean, anytime you're bringing to the table outside parties to help you renegotiate a multi-billion-dollar investment that really powers how we all work, it's definitely worth paying attention to. All right, y'all. I know that was a lot. Here is the very, very fast recap of all of the AI news that matters this week. So Meta has released a new AI model that literally just fact checks other AIs, and it was built with AI-powered synthetic data. So Meta from Meta. Microsoft launched its new is launching its new customizable AI agents for businesses in public preview next month. So that they just announced at their recent AI tour event in London. So big news there from Microsoft. Microsoft users now also getting the ChatGPT desktop app if you are on a paid plan. Our next piece of AI news was looking at a Bloomberg report about how Apple is reportedly, according to its own internal employees, at least 2 years behind in AI advancements compared to its competitors. Perplexity, our next AI news. Perplexity unveiled some new features. Its internal knowledge search and spaces, which I think are putting them more on path to compete with players like OpenAI and Google Gemini. Next, the U.S. military is seeking to actually use some advanced deepfake technology That one's weird, but definitely worth paying attention to. Nvidia launched a new AI model that outperformed OpenAI's and Claude's models, but only on very specific benchmarks. And this was based off a Llama 3.170B. So Nvidia, they're fine tuning a model. NotebookLM announced a bunch of new features, customizable AI audio, as well as a new business edition that they just launched a pilot for. Adobe Max AI everything at their their Max conference. So including the Firefly video as well as the Firefly Photo 2 generative extend, I think is going to be a big one. And then last but not least, some new reporting coming out, kind of detailing this now maybe tumultuous relationship between Microsoft and OpenAI and some things that are going on behind the scenes there. Whew, that's a lot. I need a drink of water. I hope this recap was helpful. Every Monday, we go over the AI news that matters. If this is helpful, please join us every other day where we bring in expert guests from all realms of work to help us all understand AI better. So if you haven't already, please go to youreverydayai.com. If this was helpful, don't keep this as your little secret. Share this with your coworkers, families, friends, your dogs, neighbors, babysitters, dog walker, whatever that means. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you back tomorrow and every day for more everyday AI. Thanks, y'all.